Okay, let's speed run through the Trump airplane thing. John, I think you covered Trump's airplane thing on Tuesday. Am I right?
I definitely talked about the
Mhm.
obviously doing a solo show is going to be a little bit different than a talking show, but yeah, we definitely discussed the Trump airplane. For those who aren't aware, I feel like you have to be living under a rock
Right. Yeah.
to
Yeah.
not be aware of this. But the government of Qatar is gifting Donald Trump, or I guess gifting the U.S. Department of Defense a $400 million jet to be used as Air Force One. But it looks like TJ's are prepping a clip to kind of explain this news story.
Well, so what I was going to go over was that I thought on Tuesday, because I think I saw a little bit of it where you mentioned how Donald Trump was losing conservatives. Did you say anything about that?
Ben Shapiro, Laura Loomer, there was another big one that came out like heavily criticizing Donald Trump. I did play the clip from Ben Shapiro on Tuesday's show, where he essentially said that this is skeevy behavior. This is why even if this is all above board, even if we are going to believe that the government of Qatar just wanted to be really nice and give Donald Trump a $400 million jet out of the kindness of their hearts and expect nothing in return, it isn't worth it for the sake that it simply could be perceived as corruption, as bribery, and it just isn't worth it for the sake of that perception. And I don't say this very often, TJ, but I think Ben Shapiro was 100% right.
Yeah, I agree completely. Before I talk my comments on it, Cole, did you hear about this at all?
Yeah, I heard about it, and then I heard yesterday that it would cost $1 billion to get it like Air Force One ready. So $1.4 billion worth of just bribery here. And then I wanted to also add the reason why it's even more bribery is so that it's a donation that's going to end up in the President Donald J. Trump library. And from there, he will still be able to access it for personal use after he is done being president, assuming a day ever comes where he is alive and done being president.
I'm glad you mentioned that part right there. And that's actually what I was going to talk about in this here clip I got for you fine folks. Let's see here.
Regarding this planned gift from the Qatari government to the president, this luxury jet worth hundreds of millions of dollars. You laugh. I do wonder whether you think this is ethical.
I'm not laughing.
Well, you were chuckling. I wonder if you think it's ethical for President Trump to accept it.
Well, I'm chuckling, I guess, because I think the media is making a much bigger deal out of this than it needs to be. Look, have you been to the Reagan Library in California? There's the old Air Force One sitting there in the Reagan Museum. That's what's going to happen to this gift, not to President Trump, but the Department of Defense. This will go through the ethical checks and the legal checks to make sure it is everything's in order before it happens. But I know that, look, President Trump is frustrated that he's flying around in this 40-year-old plane. He has wanted a new Air Force One. He's tried to work with Boeing to make it happen. For whatever reasons, it's not happened. I mean, my goodness, the president in his first term wanted to change the paint scheme from the dark blue, light blue, white to red, white, and blue to make it look more patriotic, and they wouldn't let him do it.
As if that fucking matters. That was weird that he brought that up, I thought. But okay, so I wanted to discuss that part right there where he mentioned that the Reagan Library also has, Reagan's Air Force One. Anyone know when Ronald Reagan left office? Like, anyone want to refresh my memory? I think it was 1988. Is that correct?
Yeah, 89. So after the election.
89, yeah, right, 89. The Reagan Air Force One plane entered the Reagan Library in 2002. So a little bit different than Donald Trump taking the plane immediately after his term is over. But what I find fascinating about that is, like John mentioned, that Ben Shapiro, Laura Loomer, Mark Levin, like a few conservatives have come out and said, yeah, this is an obvious bribe. Why are we pretending otherwise? I'm fascinated at the Republicans who are defending Trump because, wow, really? I mean, you don't have to do this, right? This is one where you can obviously say, wow, this is kind of a problem, and then say, yeah, maybe Trump shouldn't do that, which is what most Republicans have done. And I have one more, and this is Josh Hawley, who is defending Trump as well. And this take I find even more ridiculous. Let's see if I can.
But what about this meme coin? What about this meme coin? I mean, this auction for people, that price, when the price goes up, it helps his family.
Well, listen, I think nobody believes that Donald Trump can be bought. I mean, what does Donald Trump need more money for? I think Donald Trump is pretty focused on strengthening the United States of America. I think it's great.
All right. They had shifted that conversation. They're talking about the meme, from the plane to the meme coin, saying that Trump is obviously accepting bribes. But you've heard this from Republicans before saying, well, Trump is rich, so the last thing he would want is more money. There's no way you can actually bribe this guy. Have you seen this argument out there, John?
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's the dumbest. This argument has been made by robber barons for time immemorial. There is no rich person in the history of rich people has ever just been like, yeah, man, I'm good now. I don't need any more money. I'm not going to make any more. That's just not how these people's minds work. And honestly, there is a point to it of like, yeah, Trump isn't incentivized by the $400 million bribe. He doesn't care about the financial aspect of it. What Donald Trump cares about is that Qatar or however the fuck we pronounce this name, is willing to take a $400 million bath to give him a giant fucking plane he can show off to his friends. That's what he cares about. He cares about the fealty. It is not a bribe in the same sense that I could be bribed. Like if someone offered me $400 million, you get me to do basically anything short of murder. But like the idea that Trump is getting a financial incentive from this, it isn't so much. It's more so that he likes when people pay him fealty, and he's totally okay with reciprocating that deal all the fucking time. And that's the problem here. But I will say, even if that weren't true, yeah, no, rich people want to make more money all the fucking time. I don't know I don't know why so many people buy this bullshit. Like, look at all the rich people and notice how they just keep making money. Like, do you think they're accidentally doing that? Like, why are they doing that if they don't need any more of it? Like, they stopped needing it $90 billion ago. Like, we don't need any more. After you have like 10 mil in the bank, you will never need another dime for the rest of your life. Actually, I think it's 5 mil. I think 5 mil is the point where it's like you can just invest it and just live off the interest and have an obscenely rich lifestyle, even so, and never work another day in your life. Every dollar after that is just greed, and that's fine. You want to be greedy, go ahead, be greedy. It's your fucking life. But don't imply to me that like people who are set don't want to make more money. That's insane.
Any final thoughts on this topic here, Cole?
Just that the other thing that Trump gets out of this is he is a narcissist. And that means he has such an overwhelming sense of shame in himself that he cannot possibly face the idea that shame is true and that he has ever done something wrong. So the best bribe that he's gotten from Putin and Qatar and everybody else is that they think he is worthy of the deference and worship that he is receiving.
Yeah. Trump does, like, he yearns to be an actual monarch, which is why he's so obsessed with folks who have dictatorial and monarchical power. Because as far as he can push things in the United States, there are limits, believe it or not, folks, there are, on what Donald Trump can and can't do. So like the plane itself is symbolic of that for me. That if you saw the interior of that plane, it is opulent as fuck. It's actually tacky, a lot like Mar-a-Lago is. And so Trump just likes to cover himself in the accoutrements of royalty. Okay, folks.
Wait, TJ.
Yes.
I have one more thing on the
Sure.
I just got to say it. Is that it would have already been very difficult to defend if he had just accepted the plane and it was just going to be the new Air Force One. But at least then there would have been this kernel of, oh, well, we're getting something for free. Why wouldn't we take the thing for free? Like, it's still a dumb bullshit argument, but at least it's there. He then chooses. He didn't have to do this, TJ.
He didn't have to do it.
He could have ridden in the plane. He could have had his nice plane. He could have had it. And honestly, he probably would have gotten away with it much more. And then he decided to say, oh, well, it's going to go in my museum after 4 years of use. Like, oh my God. Like, could you be any more self-serving? Like,
God.
you can't even squint and look for an explanation for why it would go in his museum if it isn't a gift to him and instead is a gift to the people of the United States of America.
John, I had the same thought. When I heard, it was the same day. It was all the same day where I heard, oh, Trump's going to be gifted this $500 million plane from the Qataris, and he's going to keep it after he leaves office. And he says, listen, why wouldn't I keep the plane's not coming to me. It's going to the Department of Defense, and then it's going to a presidential library, which happens to be mine. I don't see what's wrong with this.
Why is it going to yours? Why isn't it going to the other one in Reagan's library?
Yeah, and I remember thinking, it's like, listen, because I thought the exact same thought, John, that if I were Trump and someone offered me a $500 million plane that I plan to keep, I wouldn't tell a fucking soul. Because you know what? No one would even suspect it. If I heard that Trump was, was granted a new Air Force One, I didn't even think you could do that. Like, oh, I'm going to decommission this plane and keep it myself. The thought wouldn't have crossed my mind for 4 years until 4 years later he does it when it's too late for anyone to do anything about it. Once again, Trump is not smart. He's not a bright guy because sometimes he does this. He did this with the Epstein files. Cole, I don't know if you saw the clip from a couple of years. Actually, it was last year when they were interviewing Trump before he won the election. And they said, listen, if you win the presidency again, will you release the files on Martin Luther King? Yes. Will you release the JFK files? Yep. Will you release the Epstein files? Yeah. Well, that one's a little tricky. And it's like, bro, just lie. Just fucking lie. No one's making you tell the truth. I don't know, when Trump just stumbles into telling the truth when he doesn't have to, all the proof I need that he's nowhere near as smart as conservatives say. Thank you for bringing that up, John. That is a great point.
It's not, this one is even dumb, TJ. It's that he wants people to know. He wants the value to him is that people know that he was gifted this $400 million plane and it's his. Like, he wants people to know he's the kind of guy that gets $400 million prize. That is the benefit to him.
This is how we know there aren't aliens.
Oh, yes. That's our point too. We say that all the time. That if you listen, if I had a bet,
you just hit a pet topic at TJ.
Oh my God! Yes, I'll try not to go into too long. We only got like 20. We're going to go long with this tier list, I guarantee you. But I would bet money that extraterrestrial life exists. I pretty much think it's a mathematical certitude. But listen, maybe they've been to Earth, but I don't believe for a second that the United States government is hiding aliens or anything like that, because Donald Trump would have spilled the beans on a long time ago. And people like to say that, well, presidents are temporary. They're only here every 4 years. So they don't tell the presidents about it. They being the rich people, fucking Elon Musk. You're telling me Elon Musk wouldn't jump at the opportunity to prove the aliens are real? So yeah, thank you, Cole. Yeah, the idiots running this place is all the proof we need.